In the quiet town of Blackthorn Hollow, nestled between dense forests and rolling hills, there was a house that no one dared to approach. The Blackwood family lived there. A reclusive father, a mother who rarely spoke, and their 4 daughters, Ivy, Rose, Lily, and Dahlia. The girls were rarely seen, but when they were, their beauty was whispered about in hushed tones. They were like flowers trapped in a garden, blooming in secret, unseen by the world. The patriarch, Ezekiel Blackwood, was a stern and deeply religious man. He believed the world outside was corrupt and sinful, and he vowed to protect his daughters from its influence. His wife, Eleanor, once vibrant and full of life, had become a shadow of her former self, silently obeying her husband's every command. The girls were homeschooled, their lives confined to the walls of their decaying Victorian home. They spent their days reading, sewing, and tending to the overgrown garden in the backyard. Ezekiel's rules were absolute. No contact with outsiders, no laughter too loud, no dreams too big. The youngest daughter, Dahlia, was the most curious and rebellious. She would sneak glances at the world beyond their fence, watching the children of the town play freely. One day, she found a hidden spot in the garden where the fence had rusted through. She began sneaking out at night, meeting a boy from the town named Elliot. He was kind and gentle, and for the first time, Dahlia felt alive. But Ezekiel discovered her secret. Enraged, he locked Dahlia in the attic, forbidding her from seeing the outside world again. The other sisters pleaded for her release, but their father's wrath was unyielding. Days turned into weeks, and Dahlia's spirit withered one stormy night. The sisters heard a crash from the attic. They found Dahlia's room empty, the window shattered. Outside, they discovered her lifeless body in the garden, her hands clutching a single rose. The sisters were devastated, but Ezekiel showed no remorse. "She brought this upon herself," he said coldly. The remaining sisters, Ivy, Rose, and Lily, began to unravel. Ivy, the eldest, became withdrawn, spending hours staring at the garden where Dahlia had died. Rose, the most artistic, started painting dark, haunting images of their family. Lily, the quietest, began to hear whispers in the wind, calling her name one by one. The sisters began to disappear. Ivy was the first. She vanished into the forest, leaving behind a note that read, "I can't breathe in this house." Rose followed, her paintings left unfinished, her brushes scattered across the floor. Lily was the last. She was found in the garden, lying beside a freshly dug hole, her hands covered in soil. Ezekiel and Eleanor were left alone in the house, their daughters gone. The townsfolk whispered that the Blackwood sisters had been buried alive in the garden, their spirits forever trapped in the soil. Some claimed to see their ghosts wandering the garden at night, their laughter echoing through the trees years later. The Blackwood house stood abandoned, its garden overgrown and wild. Visitors claimed that if you stood quietly among the flowers, you could hear the sisters' voices, singing a mournful song. The garden became known as the Garden of Shadows, a place where beauty and tragedy intertwined, and where the souls of the Blackwood sisters remained, forever yearning for freedom,